Explosions and fire. Ukraine confirms strike on Saratov oil refinery in Russia. Russian soldiers linked to war crimes in Ukraine eliminated in Vladivostok. And US Treasury chief says war in Ukraine could end in 2 to 3 months if Europe put tariffs on Russian oil buyers. The latest news next. Fighters of Ukrainians defense intelligence carried out a revenge special operation on Russian territory and eliminated soldiers who committed war crimes in Ukraine, sources report. Ukrainian defense intelligence special operation took place in the area of Shitova settlement in Primorsky Krai, where the 47th Separate Assault Battalion of the 155th Separate Guards Naval Infantry Brigade is stationed. This unit participated in combat operations near Kiev, Vuhledar, Mariupol and in the Kursk and Pokrovsk directions. The Russian 155th Brigade was noted for its particular brutality toward the local population and the execution of Ukrainian prisoners of war. Sources said that at 9 a.m. local time, a powerful explosion occurred in the military unit's parking lot, followed by another one shortly after. Russian public channels report that a large amount of equipment and security service personnel arrived at the scene, and a helicopter was deployed. At the entrance to Shitova settlement, the area near administrative buildings and parking lots is cordoned off, traffic is partially blocked, and law enforcement is checking vehicles. Russian sources claim the explosions were supposedly due to a gas equipment incident. As a result of the morning Ukrainians' defense intelligence operation in Vladivostok, there are reports of killed and wounded enemy soldiers. Eyewitnesses say numerous ambulances are present at the scene. We are waiting for obituaries to appear in Vladivostok media and public channels, Ukrainian defense intelligence source summarized. The Ukrainian side also reminded that every Russian soldier who committed war crimes in Ukraine will be held accountable. On the night of September 16th, the Saratov oil refinery suffered another drone attack. Explosions and a fire were reported in the area of the facility, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. On the night of September 16th, 2025, units of the Special Operations Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, in coordination with other components of the Defense Forces, struck the Saratov oil refinery, the statement says. The explosions and the fire were recorded in the area of the facility. The results of the strike are being clarified. According to the General Staff, the Saratov oil refinery specializes in the production of gasoline, diesel fuel, fuel oil, various types of bitumen, vacuum gas oil, technical sulfur, and other products, over 20 types of petroleum products in total. In 2023, the refinery processed 4.8 million tons. In particular, the enterprise is involved in supplying the needs of the Russian armed forces. As emphasized by the General Staff, Ukrainian defense forces consistently carry out measures aimed at undermining Russia's military economic potential, including its ability to supply occupation forces with fuel, ammunition, and weapons, as well as to halt armed aggression against Ukraine. White House Chief Donald Trump could stop Russian energy imports to Europe by calling the prime ministers of Slovakia and Hungary, Robert Fico and Viktor Orban, citing an anonymous European diplomat who spoke to Politico.
If Trump wants EU countries to stop buying Russian oil, all he's got to do is pick up the phone and dial Slovakia's Robert Fico and Hungary's Viktor Orban.
The European representative emphasized that Fico and Orban are on friendly terms with the US president. These are his friends. He could just call them, he said. Politico also notes that Trump's demands for a radical change in the policy of Turkey, which imports 57% of Russian oil, are simply unrealistic. Europe will not abandon Russian oil and gas until 2027. The media also reports, citing two anonymous European diplomats, that the bloc is unlikely to be able to abandon Russian energy sources before 2027, as Washington insists. Also, according to the sources, Europe will not legalize a ban on oil imports from Russia. However, Politico recalls that Trump intervened in the situation last weekend ordering NATO allies to stop importing oil from Russia. This statement came after his representative Chris Wright called on the Europe to speed up the transition away from Russian energy sources. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that the war in Ukraine could end within 60 to 90 days if Europe imposes significant secondary tariffs on countries that buy Russian oil, reports Reuters. The US Treasury Secretary said that the Donald Trump administration will not impose additional tariffs on Chinese goods to stop China from buying Russian oil unless European countries apply their own high tariffs on China and India. Bessent stressed that European countries should play a more active role in reducing Russia's oil revenues and helping to end the war in Ukraine. We expect the Europeans to do their share now, and we are not moving forward without the Europeans, Bessent said. He criticized European countries that continue to purchase Russian oil or petroleum products refined in India from Russian raw materials, arguing that they are helping to finance the war. The minister also noted that the US has already imposed tariffs on Indian goods due to the purchase of Russian oil, which has led to substantial progress in negotiations with New Delhi. Quote, "I guarantee you that if Europe put on substantial secondary tariffs on the buyers of Russian oil, the war would be over in 60 or 90 days, Bessent said, explaining that this would cut off Moscow's main source of income. He also said that the US is ready to cooperate with European countries to strengthen sanctions against Russian companies, including oil giants Rosneft and Lukoil, and to consider broader use of frozen Russian sovereign assets following Moscow's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Support Ukraine, like and subscribe.